All right, guys. It's true crime time again. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Taylor.
And this is Pure Malice. We hope that you've had a great week so far. And if not, we hope that this brings you a little dark joy.
This is a special episode because it's
holiday season. It's the holiday season. Ooh, I don't actually know those words.
It's the holidays. Right? Anyways, so we were feeling mighty festive and wanted to bring you guys some Christmas-themed episode.
We accidentally matched.
You should have known I was going to wear Grinch.
I should have.
Ryan called me and said, hey, make sure you wear some sort of festive holiday sweater. I said, okay. I only have Grinch.
She's a true Grinch fan.
But just because it's the holiday season, that is not the reason this is special. So, want to know what makes this a special edition episode?
Please tell us.
Because this week we are doing our first
ever
Mini Malice.
Woo! Mini Malice, Mini Malice.
And we're not just making it a Mini Malice, we're making it a double Mini Malice. Woo! Which basically means we could not pick one case.
That's right, we couldn't decide on one.
We are bringing you 2 short cases tonight. In the spirit of Christmas, the giving season, we decided to give you both of them.
Oh, yay.
They're both on the shorter side, so you get 2.
That's right. So Merry Christmas, y'all.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy
holidays. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And happy holidays. We genuinely love NC.
Yeah, it just happened. Now, while this episode is Christmas themed, we want to go ahead and warn you that these cases are very disturbing. One of them is extremely graphic. Please keep that in mind.
Yes.
We never said we were going to cut out the malice.
That's right. Still Pure Malice.
Just mini.
And before we get started, just a quick reminder that if you like the show and you want us to keep giving you more, please make sure to follow us on Spotify and help us grow. You can also follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok pages.
Hold on, wait. We have a TikTok?
Can you tell who keeps up with the social media pages? Me. Yes, we do have a TikTok page. We also have our YouTube channel. Go and subscribe. Sharing is caring, and it is the season. So send our episodes to anyone that you think would enjoy the show.
And I want you all to know I knew we had a YouTube channel. Help us grow. We also wanted to remind you that while we bring humor and personality to our show, we also maintain the utmost respect for the victims and their families. True crime is real life, and behind every case are real people who deserve dignity and to be remembered.
That's right. Great reminder. All right. So the first case that we are going to be covering is the murder of Silvestri Diaz Hernandez. It's a gruesome and heinous crime, so prepare yourselves ahead of time. This happened in Chicago on December 24th of 2013. So Christmas Eve, which is obviously meant to be a happy time with your family, with your friends, merry and bright. So Alexis Valdez was 18 years old, and he had moved in with his aunt, who, by the way, is not named anywhere. Her name is not mentioned, and I'm sure that it is for her own protection. But he moved in with her and her boyfriend, 41-year-old Silvestri Diaz Hernandez, just 6 months prior to this taking place. So they shared an apartment together, and Alexis was allowed to live there under the stipulations that he went to school, he worked, and maintained a job to help contribute to living expenses. And they didn't have like a set rent that they were asking for him to pay. They just wanted him to contribute. They shared an apartment together, and Alexis was allowed to live there under the stipulations that he went to school, he worked, and maintained a job to help contribute to the living expenses. So just normal things. You know, he wasn't asked to pay like a set amount. He just needed to contribute to help with the living expenses.
Which, I mean, I don't feel like that's like too much.
Definitely not unreasonable.
Not for like 18 living technically outside of your house. And I know some people may feel like that was asking a lot, but for not living in like your parents' home, I can see how that's feasible, especially if they weren't asking for this outstanding amount.
Yeah, I think it was a reasonable request from them, you know?
Yeah.
And the thing was, he knew the expectations when he moved in. But apparently, shortly after he moved in, it seemed that he didn't care about the original agreement that they had. So he quit his job and stopped working completely, expecting his aunt and her boyfriend to not say anything about it, to just kind of let it slide and ultimately let him get a free ride. But to his surprise, his aunt and her boyfriend were like, listen, this wasn't our agreement, and therefore you've got to go. You have to find somewhere else to live because you already are not holding up your end of the bargain. So they basically said, like, we asked just a few things of you that would honestly be expected of you anywhere else that you live. So right off the bat, this pissed him off. It made him mad. He just could not believe that they were really kicking him out. And guys, he really does. He comes off just very entitled and fully expected the situation to go a different way than it did.
That's unfortunate.
It is. It's extremely unfortunate.
I feel like we're really about to find out how unfortunate it is. So tell me, Ryan, how unfortunate was this?
Unbelievably. So on Christmas Eve of 2013, he reached a boiling point with his rage of having to be an adult and be responsible for himself. His aunt went out to a holiday party, and while she was gone, he started drinking heavily. So Hernandez comes home, which is the aunt's boyfriend, and he sees that Alexis has drank all of the beer in the home and can clearly see that he is pretty intoxicated. And he's like, man, really? Like, come on. You know, just kind of like, why? Why did you do that? So he left to go and run to the store to get more beer, and Alexis said that he wanted to go. So the two of them together left to go and get more alcohol. Before they left for this errand, Alexis hid a hammer next to the entry door of their apartment. Why? Why, you ask?
Why was this, Ryan?
We're about to find out. So as soon as they return to the apartment, Alexis suddenly grabs a hammer and violently smashes Silvestri's head in several times with it. He bludgeoned him until he was dead, and after making sure that he had beaten him to death with a hammer, he then started to dismember his body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, PSA, drinking is never the answer. Doesn't solve anything.
Makes things worse.
If you feel like you have a problem, we'll put some resources in the show notes.
We sure can. So basically he went from 0 to 100 real quick. So he did something that I feel like happens in a lot of cases where some sicko dismembers others, and that is that he played super loud music to help conceal the noises during this dismemberment. He also covered all of the windows up so that he could work slowly and methodically. He used a butcher knife and a saw to remove Hernandez's ears, nose, and lips.
So he went for like the little tiny details here. Wow.
Yes. And usually dismemberment, you know, I mean, it's strictly just the different sections of the body. So limbs, torso, head.
Well, that's what I thought when you originally said dismemberment. I was like, okay, we got an arm here. Or like maybe to make it easier to conceal the body, because that's the normal, right? Like they're trying to hide something. Maybe it's too heavy, so it's easier.
Right.
Oh, wait, can I guess? Hear no evil, see no evil, smell no evil?
Well, that was a great thought, but wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, the smell thing got me.
Yeah, I mean, I assume
That's
you
the
just
one.
kind of pulled it out of your pocket there, but...
I did. I was like, oh, no, it doesn't fit. I tried.
So he then went on to use his bare hands to pluck both of his eyeballs out before cutting off his head, removing his arms and getting him from growing to sternum. Seriously, this is going to be one of the most gruesome and brutal dismemberment cases out there. He literally gutted him the same way that you would a deer, you know?
Horrifying.
Mm-hmm. So this is the part. Okay. He then placed Silvestri's head, ears, and nose on his aunt's bed because he said he wanted to, quote, leave her a Christmas present.
What a Christmas present I want.
I don't know who would, you know? So once he became tired, because obviously dismembering someone takes a lot of effort, strength. I mean, it's work, you know?
Well, on top of that, he was intoxicated.
He was highly intoxicated.
And he beat somebody to death beforehand.
All the things. So...
Was it NAPA?
Kind of.
Oof.
He decided, since he was tired from all of this work, to, in his own words, call 911 at this point. So it's now around 2:01 a.m. on Christmas Day. Yeah. He calls 911 and he says that he would like to report a dead body. The dispatcher asked if he attempted or was willing to attempt CPR on the person, and he said, "Oh no, ha ha ha, the person doesn't have a head anymore," and literally laughed out loud. So whenever officers arrive, Alexis is sitting on the front porch with an iPad, and he is covered in blood, and he says, "Hey bros, just cool, calm, casual, just wow."
So is he just extremely immature? Have some mental health.
So we don't know if there was mental health involved, but
It's almost like he's in the psychotic episode.
some sort of episode.
Yeah.
Yes, but there was nothing that stated yes or
Maybe
no.
manic, I don't know, but
So again, just not the demeanor that you would expect from someone who just did the things that he did. They immediately ask him what's going on and if he is the person who called 911. And according to the report, he said, quote, "Shouldn't you arrest me before you ask me questions? Because I just killed a man and he's in the basement." So, I mean, he full-fledged 100%, does not try to hide anything, just no shame, and it's weird.
just like openly admits it.
Just straight up tells him, "I did it." So he then throws the iPad onto the ground as hard as he could, and it shattered into pieces. And the thing about that little detail is that he basically wanted to do that so that no one else could use that iPad anymore.
It must not have been his.
That's right. Alexis went on to say that he was tired of waiting, so thank God that, one, he was impatient, and two, that his aunt stayed out late enough, or else this would have been her fate too, because as we know, he left those pieces of nose and ears on the bed for her so she would find it. So he was planning on doing this to her as well.
That's crazy.
So even though this case is rough and what happened to Silvestri is awful, this could have happened to two people that night. So it's like you have to try and see some sort of silver lining in a case like this, and well, that's it, you know?
I'm glad she was having a good time at that party because...
Me too. So police did find Silvestri's torso in the basement, and in 2014, Alexis pled not guilty to first-degree murder.
That makes a lot of sense. After you confess on the doorstep at the crime scene that you called in on yourself and asked officers, "Oh, you gonna arrest me now or after you ask me questions?"
Right? Like, such a little...
Okay.
So then in 2017, at 21 years old, he pled guilty to first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to 33 years in prison, which does not seem like nearly long enough for what he did and how he did it. And honestly, for the reason that he did it, which was simply because he was mad.
Yeah.
I feel strongly that for the crime that he committed, and especially because of how he did it, he should have gotten life in prison at the very least.
Is it not considered premeditated in this case if he put the, like, alcohol's involved, so it could have been on a whim, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my thought behind that is he purposely placed a hammer with intentions of harming one of those two individuals, whoever came through the door first, right?
Yeah, you're right about all of that. And so the reason that he did not get the death penalty is because in the state of Illinois, As of like mid 2011, they no longer had the death penalty in that state.
Gotcha.
I personally also feel like there should be some sort of added sentence to any case that includes dismemberment, but that's just me.
Yeah.
You know?
You would think that like certain things would cause longer.
Yeah.
Like
add
here's an automatic 10 years added on top of a sentence.
Yeah. And I mean, I also know that there's usually like a method to the madness as far as sentencing goes in any case. And that sometimes there are deals on the table or just other factors at play. Yeah. But whenever it comes to sentencing and how it turns out, sometimes it's just baffling.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things I understand, especially when you're trying to protect other family members from having to relive scenarios or testify in court and all the things. But like in these cases where there were not others to be included, I feel like there's lots of questions like why only this long?
Yeah,
that would be something that would be interesting to try and figure out.
Yeah, it would.
And I think the other thing is like states, right? Like harshness in the states, you got to think about all the things that play into that.
Yeah, you do.
Whether it's politics or something like the community is pushing, just different things.
Yeah, definitely. There's plenty of things that are in play in every case.
Sad.
It is very sad. So yeah, you just can never really predict what the sentencing is actually going to be for any given crime.
Yeah.
So Silvestri's brother did set up a GoFundMe at the time to pay for his funeral because he did not have life insurance. And Silvestri had lost the mother of his children and was working to provide for them at the time of his death. And now these poor children are altogether parentless thanks to this very ungrateful and entitled 18-year-old, you know? Mm-hmm. His daughter, Selena Diaz, who was 17 at the time, told the Sun-Times, quote, "My father was a good person. He never did anything to anyone. He was a good father. He did what he could for me and my brother. He did his best to provide for us after me and my brother lost our mother." So Alexis is now spending 33 years in jail, given he serves his full sentence. So that concludes that case, the first Christmas Eve murder.
So this brings us to our second case. In this case, we are going to cover the murder of Michelle O'Dowd. So this murder took place on Friday, December 2nd in 2011. 2011, already a rough year, you guys. Mm-hmm. It was rough. Michelle had a twin brother, Philip Axt, who showed up at his twin sister's home in Jacksonville, Florida around 9:10 a.m. to check on her because she had not been able to be reached and didn't show up for work.
Bad sign.
So what he ended up finding upon his arrival was that his twin sister was murdered in a very horrific way.
I couldn't imagine having to be the person who walked in and found your own sibling murdered. I could never get past that.
No. Especially a twin, because like the twin bond, that's a real thing.
Definitely different kind of one.
There's a lot of research. Like we have a set of cousins that are twins.
Yep.
Rough. I don't even have words. I couldn't imagine that.
Me either.
So it's something that, hate to hear of these things happening. I know it happens, but I just wish that it was something that no one ever had to go through.
I'm right there with you.
Michelle was also known as Mickey. She had a ton of nieces and nephews, and they all called her Auntie Mickey.
Aww.
I wonder if they sang her, "Oh, Mickey, you're so fine.
You're so fine, you're fun, hey, Mickey. Hey, Mickey."
Oh, Mickey. I bet they did.
I bet they did too.
I'm just going to say it. So, Mickey was born on February 20th in 1944 in Glen Ridge, New Jersey. Her parents were Philip and Margaret Axt. Also, by the way, you guys, that is just a cool name,
right?
Now, unfortunately, it goes with the theme of murder.
It definitely does.
Anyways, we found that she was a fraternal twin and was technically the younger of the two. She was described as intelligent, kind, loving, and people just had an array of good things to say about her. She earned her degree from Virginia Intermediate College and spent over 30 years as a lab technician and eventually became a lab supervisor at Good Samaritan Hospital in Suffern, New York.
Good for her.
man, these names, like...
Oh, suffering.
Suffering?
Oh, okay, yeah, my bad.
I'm so glad that just clicked. And we caught that on film.
We did. Okay.
You know that Ryan's on the same page as everybody else in this podcast.
Took me a second.
So, she had one child, a son named Philip, who passed away suddenly in 2003 at the age of 29.
That's rough.
When he passed away, this is when Michelle moved to Florida to be closer to her twin brother and additional family members. She previously had retired, but when she moved to Florida, she decided to go back to work and went to work for her twin brother, Philip, and became the head of accounts receivable and collections department at Audio Images International Incorporated.
She was good.
Yeah. So this company was something that her brother had partial ownership of. She had a dog named Max. I'm sorry. I'm really excited about that.
She loves the Prince guys. We weren't kidding.
Anyway. I'm so fucked about that name now.
That's the fault.
Okay, back to it. So, this dog named Mare, she adored him.
As she should.
So she was actually a huge animal lover all the way around. So when her twin brother, Philip, showed up to her home on December 2nd of 2011, he noticed that the front door was,
Open.
wide open, which immediately set off Philip's alarm bells. So when he entered the house, he saw that inside had been completely ransacked. So he already very quickly was aware that this was clearly a bad situation. All of her things were sprawled all over the place. Furniture was turned over. It just looked like her home had been raided. So although her home had been raided, her car was untouched. And silver lining, again for you, her dog was completely unharmed as well.
Very happy to hear.
Yes, thankfully. So, Philip went through the home about 3 times before he finally spotted his sister. He saw a foot sticking out beneath a massive pile of Christmas gifts.
Oh, even worse.
They were wrapped and intended for those nieces and nephews and grandchildren that we talked about.
So sad.
So he grabbed her by her ankle and said it was ice cold, and he just knew. So I don't know about y'all, but the details of finding her under a pile of wrapped presents intended for loved ones, that just is heartbreaking.
It is. It makes it worse.
So when he moved the gifts from on top of her, he found the battered body of his 67-year-old twin sister. So her face was covered in blood, and she had been covered by a towel.
You know what that means.
Yeah. If you know much of anything about crime, you know that typically when somebody is found with anything covering their face or body, more than likely they knew their killer. And typically on the killer side of things, that typically shows remorse.
It does.
Not that that makes this any better, but it truly goes into those dynamics of they knew what they were doing and who they were doing it to.
It shows that they had some sort of care for their victim.
Yeah. So nearby was a empty bottle of vodka, and of course Philip, knowing his sister, he knew that that was not hers, knew that she didn't drink the entire bottle of vodka. So right away he thought that that empty bottle of liquor had been placed there on purpose to throw people off and make it seem as if she'd been drunk, and that whatever happened.
Because she was drunk.
So it was later determined that she had been beaten, strangled, either late in the night of December 1st or in the early morning hours of December 2nd. So at this point, the only question remaining is, who did this?
Who was responsible?
Who would do this to a 67-year-old woman?
You know, and that's something else I hate. I hate cases that involve any kind of
Geriatric
torture, any of that stuff to an elderly person. Yes. It just, I hate that. Why would you?
I don't know. I have a really soft spot for geriatric people.
You do?
I actually have a certification in geriatrics, studies of aging. Anyways, so Michelle typically lived alone with their dog, Max. But she had recently been allowing a family friend to stay with her. This family friend was Patty Michelle White, who was from South Carolina, and she was around 40 years old. She had been the girlfriend of Michelle's nephew, so they knew each other and had known each other for years at this point. Now, Patty had just broken things off with Michelle's nephew, and Patty had moved to Orlando, Florida from South Carolina, and Michelle had allowed her to stay with her for a few months while she was getting back on her feet.
So kind.
So Patty seemed like a pretty unmotivated individual, just so you guys are aware. Michelle did certain things just to help her get back on her feet. She paid her to clean houses, babysit, just do odd jobs so that she had some sort of income to help her get her life back in order.
I mean, as if letting her live rent-free wasn't enough. He also did those things.
So Phil, Michelle's twin brother, told CBS News, quote, "She just couldn't keep a job. She just couldn't get her life together. Phil had even let her babysit his own grandchildren, sometimes because he said that she was a family friend and he trusted her." From what we were able to gather, it just looked like she was very flaky. You know, they didn't think that she was a bad person. In fact, they trusted her enough that Michelle would give Patty her debit card and PIN number to go get groceries and, you know, other items that they might need around the house. So that just kind of goes to show what type of relationship they had. She was in and out of Michelle's home off and on, basically falling back to, you know, living with her for free with no questions asked anytime Patty fell on hard times.
That says a lot, too, about Michelle.
Yeah.
Literally no questions asked. Anytime she needed to, she would just let her move right back in.
You're exactly right. Michelle, she was just a sweet and generous person who really just wanted to help Patty. So when this happened, Patty had moved back to South Carolina and was not living with Michelle at this time. So those debit cards that Michelle allowed Patty to use when she lived with her and that she knew the pins to were the only thing missing from the home.
Well, that's suspicious.
And so when investigators came in, did their searches, like that's the only thing they couldn't find.
Wow.
So her brother Phil told WTEV News, quote, "There is nothing worse than when you walk inside and find your own sister brutally murdered over a stupid debit card. Shortly after her death, these cards were used to withdraw $500 each at 2 ATMs, so that's $1,000 total."
Oh my gosh.
So they pulled video from the ATM machines, and although Patty wore a hat and attempted to conceal her identity, she was able to be identified by family members, and it was determined that that was indeed Patty who made the withdrawals using the debit cards that were the only thing missing from Michelle's house after her murder.
$1,000. You murder someone over $1,000. It kills me when people put on a hat and think that's a disguise. Like, that's gonna hide who they are. People, come on.
Get a fake mustache.
I mean, do better if you're gonna try and do something like that. I mean, not really, don't do better, but like, come on.
Just don't do it. The other thing is, like, we're talking about a lady who opens her house up to you and has always allowed you to fall back on her. Like, if you really needed the money that bad, she probably would have just given it to you.
100%. Had she asked, she probably would have given it to her. So she probably would have helped her out.
Especially the way she was described. Like, there are genuine people.
Well,
Unfortunately, there's people who are also just evil.
Yeah.
Truly, pure malice.
Yep.
Michelle's niece, Donna Reed, said, quote, "It's just so surreal. My aunt would have given her the money." And that's what is so unfortunate about these events. Like, just a very sweet, generous woman who gave you a roof over your head, food to eat, job, trusted you with her family, treated you like family, loved you, just gave endless opportunities to her to improve herself and make a positive turn around in her life. She truly believed in Patty, and this is how she was repaid, taking her life over money.
Sad.
Just senseless thing to do. So Patty was on her way back to York, South Carolina, where her parents lived when she was pulled over around 3:30 p.m. on December 2nd.
The same day.
So when officers pulled her over, she was in the car with her mother and was brought back to the police station in York to be interviewed. So during the interrogation, she confessed to the murder of Michelle Odell. So she was held at a York County detention center and later extradited back to Florida. And her story went a little like this. South Carolina, born in... No, I'm just kidding.
On the playground is where I spent most of my days.
I was going to try and remix the whole thing, and I was like, no, I'm not that good. I totally put that. Anyways, so her story went a little like this. She was living in South Carolina. She went back to Florida specifically for the sole reason of robbing Michelle.
Oh, man.
So even after everything that woman had done for her, she went back just to rob a 67-year-old woman, and it ended up in her taking her life. So like I said earlier, it's like such a senseless crime.
It is.
So in October of 2013, Patty pled guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 45 years in prison.
She got more time than the guy did for dismembering the man. That's crazy. Different states. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was able to avoid getting a life sentence by taking a plea deal for the second-degree murder. Loved ones were asked to donate to the Jacksonville Humane Society in Michelle's name because it was an organization that was near and dear to her big, beautiful heart.
Oh, I love that.
So if we have any listeners in that area or any listeners during Christmas time that are looking for an organization to donate to,
that's a great
that
one.
would be a great one in memory of Michelle. Both of these cases are just so senseless, unnecessary, took a lot of joy out of the Christmas season.
And both of the perpetrators were incredibly entitled and killed for no true reason.
Yeah. So, guys, this is where we're going to leave you after our first
Mini Malice.
We hope that no matter how you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa,
Whatever it is.
if you don't celebrate at all,
Yeah.
whatever it is, we hope that you have a very happy, wonderful, and safe holiday season.
That's right. I'm Ryan.
I'm Taylor.
And this is Pure Malice.
No drinking, driving, you guys.
Yes. No.
Jingle bell, rock.